Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little odd. Those sounds you like to hear. We got it going on. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the ODDCAST podcast, where we talk to people who are turning their passion into profession and subsequently their passion into paychecks. We have a very special guest today. It's Bryan Miller time. We got Bryan Miller in the house.
Hello.
How you doing today?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me, Mike.
It's awesome to have you in the ODDCAST studio. So
The ODDCAST podcast.
exactly, and so I guess the first thing would be just to give the folks. Oh yeah, and obviously big shouts out to Jigsaw Massage, of course, which we will get into in depth.
Get your recovery on.
Get your recovery on that deep tissue. But the first thing I guess we would like to get into would be probably as I always call it, the 20,000 foot level of kind of who is Bryan Miller. I know that's a deep question probably, but
I'm a personal trainer.
Personal trainer.
Yeah.
And how did you originally get into that line of work?
That's a long story, but I went into the Navy.
Uh-huh.
And I had a medical discharge via a seizure. So I was like, okay, what to do now? And I knew I really liked exercise. So I studied for my NASM personal training certification, NASM. And then after that, I worked at 24, then subsequently CrossFit gyms. And then lately, I've just been doing strength conditioning training for jiu-jitsu and MMA athletes.
Wow. That's awesome. So I guess as someone who has no idea of the difference of, going from NASM to, doing 24, doing the NASM, going to 24, going to CrossFit, now doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, what's kind of, there must be a huge difference in kind of the training regimen and routine you have to go through for each of those kind of specific disciplines.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head for sure. There's a lot of differences, but a lot of similarities too. And the basics, the longer I've done it, the more I've seen that the basics are really what people need to do.
And so what would you say are the basics without giving too much of your program away?
No, I'll give anything away for free if you ask, honestly.
I love it.
But just sitting in the squat, I think, is probably a thing that people need to do way more of.
Really?
Yeah.
Just simply kind of staying there in a just pose?
In a relaxed squat or passive squat. You could put on YouTube, relaxed passive squat, Arcadia Active, which is the name of the program that I do with some friends of mine. Awesome. It's another, it's an exercise program you can do at home or at the gym.
Yeah, we'll put that link in the bio for everyone to find it. So, it sounds like kind of some of the basic stuff can be almost fairly simple if you're doing it with the right technique.
Exactly. Yeah, technique is very, very important. If you're not doing things properly, then you're not going to be feeling or hitting the right muscles for that exercise, which it just throws a lot. Yeah, technique is just a long list of many things, but for sure technique I would say is at the top.
Yeah. And I think, technique, interestingly enough, how we're saying like the differences and the similarities from like CrossFit to MMA kind of stuff. Technique is important within both of those, even though a lot of people probably would think like CrossFit's just like, brute strength. It's that you're going to get hurt if you don't use proper technique in CrossFit, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Again, dude, you know your stuff. Like training in CrossFit gyms, I saw so many injuries happen that were needless because of, many times the technique was wrong because the programming was wrong and the coaching was wrong. So there's a few other things, but there are a lot of good CrossFit gyms. You just got to make sure you find a good one, not a bad one.
Yeah. And so how
because one of the things we were discussing before the podcast, which is so interesting, is, we're both, I consider what we're both doing an art form of one way, shape, or the other. I mean, you're creating an art of creating a program that you feel is going to affect, people's workout in a unique way that, other people's workouts that they've designed for people can't. I'm doing, a podcast where we share stories. How is it tough to kind of blend that creative vibe also with the personal training vibe, because you have to get out there. You were saying you do a podcast as well.
The Miller Hendricks journey. Yeah.
The Miller Hendricks journey. You got to scope that out. We'll tell them where to find that too.
Bryan Miller time page. You could find all that.
Perfect. But yeah, how interesting is it kind of merging those two worlds of, in this 2019 world of creators, Instagram, with the personal training world?
That's a good question.
I'm asking these deep ones.
Yeah. I think I can answer that. Can you just briefly say that one more time?
Yeah.
Like a shortened version? Maybe?
Yeah, exactly. So meshing kind of the IG influencer / creator vibe with the personal trainer, aspect of it. How do you find that?
Yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of things I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of things I try to do. Some of them I do better than others, but I think for you got to find your own balance and make sure you're taking care of people in your life that need to be taken care of, and handle your duties, make your own bed. So I think that's important. I didn't used to do that, and then I did, and then I didn't, and now I'm trying to like make my bed, and I feel like if I make my bed, other things go right in that day.
Dude, I mean, there is something to be said, and I know we're the Jordan Peterson, the make your own bed, and it is what the greater point of what he says behind that. There is really a lot to that, in that if you have your own house sorted, then you can focus on the other things, right? But before you have your own house sorted, how can you even think about that? So I totally understand what he's saying, and I have to admit, I wasn't the best bed maker, but it does actually like influence me to do it now.
Still fail all the time, but you just got to get back on the horse, keep riding.
Exactly. And like you said, when you fail, it's not necessarily that you fail, it's that you try again, and hey, the next day, the next 2 days, the next 3 days in a row, you make it.
Yep.
And again, I know it sounds so small, but when you get back home after grinding and then you're like, oh, my room's clean, my bed's made, it's a nice feeling. And there is something to be said about that. I don't know if it's in the back of our head. I don't know if it's that we accomplish something little so we can accomplish something great. I think it's more of that. But
ooh, that's nice.
Yeah. I have you read that entire book? The Peterson book?
I listened to the Audible. I do Audible pretty much only, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm sure, and you're like, because this is now actually, I have a really interesting question. Actually, this is one I didn't think to ask. So as a personal trainer, how important is it to you that, I mean, of course you're going to be working out inherently while you're training someone, but you're not actually working on specific muscles for you. You're kind of going to be standing there kind of reviewing what they do, or maybe showing them once or twice. How important though is it, and how hard is it then to go off and you have to stay in shape yourself behind the scenes? I think that's something that not a lot of people think about.
Yeah, that's very hard. Honestly, that was one of the hardest parts for me when I was training people more than I do now. I would like to train more people now, but back in the day I was training people 8 hours a day, and then you go train yourself.
Wow. See, that's something I never would even think about, just being on the outside looking in.
Or longer. Some people train way more clients than me, and then still trained and found time to make amazing progress.
Because you have to.
Yeah, those people were super inspiring.
Yeah. So, I mean, you literally have to, you have to get off of work after, grinding with someone and kind of instill that same motivation that you're putting them back into yourself. That's almost surreal.
Yeah. It's mentally exhausting some of those days for sure, but it's not a bad job at the end of the day. You're in the gym. So.
Yeah. And I think it must be kind of rewarding too in the end of the day too, to see results in clients, or just I mean, see results in yourself, see results in your business, and so I guess it obviously sounds like you have a very good ability to bob and weave and roll with the punches. From doing the discharge from the Navy into the now doing MMA stuff. Were you always a fan of training
Coaching
MMA?
MMA.
Yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah,
strength conditioning for MMA.
Were you? I know. I see.
Sorry.
Shout out to Jaywalk though, who is also a strength and conditioning MMA guy. He says that there's so much more to it than that, and I'm sure you think you would say there is too.
I hardly know anything about strength conditioning for MMA. I just started doing it because it's very complicated and fun.
Really?
But, yeah.
Have you always been a fan of MMA or UFC?
Yeah, my dad would show me the Shamrock and and Hoist Gracie and all those chemo and Chuck Liddell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Phenomenal. Those are the good old days when when it was like totally unaccepted, other than seen as some like wild man sport. Now it's like for a while it was the fastest growing sport. Now it's basically on every TV in America.
Yeah, it's pretty much the most popular sport in the world, it seems like right now.
I would say so. I mean, the reason I would agree with that is people can put numbers in front of me that would say different. But when you go to most popular and we talk about like ratings and this and that, does that really gauge the popularity of a sport?
No.
I don't think those type of things do. And I think you could
It's the culture. You can kind of feel it. Yeah.
It's a culture. And I mean, I'm sure that is, to a certain extent, that's within athletics. You're an athlete. I mean, there's something just to be said of understanding that there is a widespread delight for MMA and UFC in particular, but you can even talk, Pride, K1, those were massive.
I think because you have to be so well-rounded in order to be good at it. You have to be able to move well. You have to be able to kick well. Flexibility, you have to be a very well-rounded athlete.
You have to have jiu-jitsu as well as striking.
Yeah.
Wrestling, maybe
it's
even.
so technically hard to learn all those different skills.
So would you say there's a similarity to that appeals to you about like the similarity of technique of kind of, strength training?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you learn CrossFit
mm-hmm.
and then you learn another sport and you just keep learning, your brain keeps getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's totally. People always say we use less than 10% of our brain.
The goal, anyway.
I've heard people from one, walk of life from another say, I think that's totally something that we accept and we don't have to accept it. Like you said, if you keep expanding your horizons and then remember what you've also learned along the way, you're going to be able to go on Jeopardy one day. You know what I'm saying?
Those guys, I won't be able to beat them though. Those guys. Oh my God.
Yeah. That one dude, is he still on it right now?
Oh my God. I don't understand how they know.
They study. So I don't know if we're going on a quick tangent here, which is awesome. I love doing that on podcasts. The new documentary on Netflix, it was about The Price is Right. It's called The Perfect Bid.
Okay.
They talk about how this guy would sit at home and he was a math teacher and he would watch The Price is Right and be like, okay, that's this brand of VCR or this brand of car with these add-ons. And he made a spreadsheet and he would be guessing to the dollar every time. And he never went on to, he won like $1,000, but he went on to win a guy. It's worth watching.
He went to the Showcase Showdown and he won?
He didn't make it to the Showcase Showdown because he spun a terrible thing on the spinner. But
he didn't figure out the spinner.
He ended up he sat next to two people who were yelling up to their partner on the thing, and he was relaying to them the exact prices, and he literally his relaying to some guy's wife and her relaying it to him had them guess the perfect bid on the Showcase Showdown, only time in the show's history, to the dollar, and he doubled the Showcase Showdown.
Oh my God.
And the other time the guy won 2 cars as a result of his bid. So it's happened 2 times, but not from him directly. It's absolutely phenomenal. And he's just this kind of like, regular kind of math teacher from, I don't even remember where. It's incredible. But that being said, the cataloging of information is, it's
stupid.
It's wild. And I try, with sports, I've just been getting into F1 recently, and I'm learning all about that. But I'm afraid
Those are cars, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the Formula One. You know, like Ferrari.
I don't know shit about racing.
Dude, it's pretty wild.
Okay.
That's another sport that's internationally loved, but hasn't gotten as much trajectory in
Yeah.
the United States.
Yeah, it's huge overseas.
Massive, massive. I mean, everywhere from because they race in, you know, Hungary. They race in Shanghai. They race in, I mean,
Bulgaria.
Baku. Yeah, they
Liechtenstein.
all over. Yeah, and then there's one race in the U.S., I believe. But yeah,
Okay.
it's huge in like England as well. But it's so funny. Like I would definitely still agree with your point that MMA, there's something about it that's universal. I mean, we can go from North to South America and Central America in between, and then to Australia, to, I mean, New Zealand. Now we got Israel Adesanya. You know,
Oh yeah.
to
I have
Asia.
some friends from New Zealand.
Yeah, and it's massive over there.
Shout out to Carlo Witana and Hakarai Wilson.
Always. Shout out. Yeah. So so coming from the, like you said, you said it was super intricate to learn now the strength and conditioning side of MMA. That being said, does it play into kind of like understanding how to breathe within different positions, or how can you just describe some of the things that you've learned already that you never would have thought? I mean,
Yeah. I think balance is very important. Much more important than I thought previously, actually.
balance.
Yeah, like just because doing jujitsu, which is part of MMA.
Huge part.
Yeah, some say it's a huge part. I'd probably agree with those people, but balance is very important in that, and single leg balance, and there's a bunch of like different single leg exercises and joint strengthening exercises that I've added in to my program that I feel like have helped with jiu-jitsu, and I think will help a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. How much of developing those type of things is do you kind of test them yourself? How much of that is trial and error? I mean, do you
All
learn
of it, pretty much.
I'm sure you must just learn as you go, and
Yeah.
the more time you put into it, the more you get out of it,
Yeah.
like anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I'm the other thing, that being said, is I'm sure what works for one person may not relate. And work for the other.
Yeah, almost all the time.
Yeah. So you really have to kind of be a jack of all trades within just within being, gosh, that's beyond being a personal trainer. That's like being some type of mad science, like a Dr. Frankenstein almost right there. Because you are creating someone who can compete in MMA. I mean, that's a high level athlete.
True, but they have to do the work though. At the end of the day, the work has to be put in, and there's so much work that they have to do. It's ridiculous. So it's just a small part of the program.
Wow. So how much of what would you say that like there's? I mean, it's not just physical. Then at that point, it's mental, emotional, spiritual, and everything.
Oh yeah. The athlete needs to be dialed in
Yeah.
if they're trying to compete with the highest levels.
And with fighting, I think it's on a whole nother level. I mean.
Yeah, there's something very deeply and primal about it, or whatever you want to call it.
Mano a mano, woman versus woman. I mean, you're putting, theoretically, I mean, one of the things that I've been told is that, you know, most fighters will accept that they're putting their life on the line in some way, shape, or form when they're getting into that cage or that ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine because I've never done that, but yeah, that would be terrifying.
That's heavy. And then, so, you know, that being said, do you have to within your program like address the like diet and all that stuff behind the scenes?
Yeah, the diet, they should have a nutritionist, honestly.
Yeah.
But if they don't, then it really depends. Shit, you can't even make diet recommendations
Really?
unless you know the person.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what they're doing on a day in, day out in terms of intake. And
Yeah. Generally, low carb is probably a good idea, though.
that's the safest, generalization you can.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
And they eat veggies, a lot of veggies. Veggies at every meal if possible.
Yeah. Wow. So I mean, like, and then for some people, obviously higher protein than others, but low carb, a lot of veggies is a general one for people out there.
Yeah,
too.
if people are trying to lean out, that's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. That's. I mean, I think that's a good generalization. I'm a carb fiend. That's the one thing I have an issue with, man.
Yeah, me too. I just had a coffee pint ice cream 2 nights ago. I went to the store for only that.
I could see you zombieing through the aisles like.
I think people thought I was just having a really terrible. I think it was Sunday. Actually, it was Sunday night.
They thought you caught a case of the pre-Monday.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they looked at me like, "Wow, you're so sad."
That's pretty legendary.
But I was very happy.
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, I had the pint. I was good.
And you'd probably put in your work for the day to deserve that pint, right?
I don't even know.
It didn't matter at that point. It meant nothing at that point.
Wasn't on the mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a perfect time to, since we're talking about like, stuff like diet, the thing, and then I know recovery is such an important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, could you tell us a bit about everyone out there? Again, Bryan Miller, but Jigsaw Massage is that deep tissue kind of recovery. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
It is the world's most powerful percussive massage device.
Wow. And
because the device is made to cut wood, like that's why it's called a jigsaw.
Brilliant name.
And
I was going to ask about the name, but you answered my question.
We made an adapter that goes into the jigsaw, which is the device that cuts wood, and now it massages your muscles. It's called myofascial release.
And what is that?
Which is basically the same thing that a foam roller does, or a lacrosse ball does, or a golf ball does. It just gets rid of the knots, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But this does it in a way that is unique for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it does release, like, for me, it really helps my knees.
Yeah.
And it relieves tendinitis and kind of arthritis, probably symptoms.
So we're talking, I mean, this is something that's literally applicable from anyone from a tennis elbow to a high trained, I mean, someone who grinds every day and develops workout plans, and does MMA training. So, I mean, we're kind of running the gamut on who you could be a golfer with bad
anyone.
knees.
Anyone and everyone.
Wow.
And if you want a quiet model, get the Works model.
WORX. WORX model. And we'll put all that information on the link in the bio. And, hey, we'll put it across the screen there too, so you can follow them on Instagram.
Oh, damn.
Yep. That's what we do. And that's why I did that. So right when I go like that, I can make it appear actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm Willy Wonka now.
Oh, damn.
We're stepping
leveled up. Oh
stepping the fucking game up.
Jeez.
Let's go.
Sheesh.
We can't be stopped. So that's, I mean, what was the initial like inspiration behind Jigsaw? I did notice that it's an adapter. It's so brilliant that you thought to adapt it to essentially what most people would think of as a power tool.
So that had been done before.
Really? Okay.
I just made them different.
Uh-huh.
So it wasn't the same as...
Yeah.
You just had to be different.
Different tooling, different... Yeah, so, okay, I totally understand. And I'm sure as a result of the difference, though, there's different things probably that the Jigsaw can accomplish that other products can't.
Exactly.
Yeah. So...
We have lifetime warranty on our products, and we'll replace anything.
Wow.
If it breaks.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. And like we said, like Bryan said, it's this is applicable from someone who wants to, feel nice after walking in 18, or someone who's literally training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and competing on the highest level, and everyone in between.
Take it on the golf course with you in your cart.
Oh.
Use it between holes.
Pro skaters would be skateboarders.
Yeah,
would
pro
love
skateboarders
this.
have it. We've been sending them out. We have an affiliate program that you can sign up for if you want to promote the product, and you get a percentage of the sales. And
Beautiful.
Your followers get percentage of the discount.
Awesome.
So, a 10% discount.
Oh yeah, and dude, another one. We have a good buddy on the program who's a marathoner. Oh, I bet that would be wonderful.
Yeah, runners.
Oh
yeah.
gosh.
Any sport, any athlete.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that, and I feel like I've seen, a lot of cool deep tissue stuff come up recently, whether it's someone actually applying it themselves or these really awesome, you know, like you said, portable ones that you could literally take on the golf course and, hey, you know, your knee's feeling a little funky, you know, take the hole off, massage it, you'll probably be good by the next hole.
Yeah. It is kind of weird how fast it works, to be honest. It seems like I'm trying to dupe people, but like, no, it works.
Yeah.
Really well.
Yeah.
I don't even have to try to sell it because it like just
it's
works.
like, just try this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's cool. I mean, it's really great when the product sells itself.
Yeah.
That's when you know you have something, frankly. Right.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And I mean, when you came up with the name, were you like, aha?
It was kind of a joke because I wasn't even trying to make a business. It just
Really?
Yeah, I was like, this thing works, so I'm gonna sell a couple of them, and then I just kept selling them.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. So you didn't even kind of know what you had?
No.
Wow. What was the point where you were like, hey, I have something here? Was there a certain...
Probably like right now in this podcast.
Really?
Probably.
Well, hey, folks, Jigsaw Massage, get your deep tissue on.
Shout out ODDCAST podcast.
Always. But
Hi, Mom.
Mama, I made it. But the you know, the thing is, you know, with that stuff, you know, it's always interesting, I think, in this day and age, which we were talking about prior to the podcast, how it's almost so great to have your foot in different things as a creative, as an entrepreneur, as a self-starter, whatever label anyone wants to put on it. It's so brilliant to have your foot in different doors. And what I feel like Jigsaw kind of proves is that you said, it's like, you don't have to go out and really even push it. You can just like say, hey, this, like, try it out, or, hey, here's some testimony from people who've used it, or, hey, this athlete's doing a giveaway, which I've seen a couple athletes doing giveaways of
Yep.
Jigsaws. So, you know, I think it's a thing of like monetizing, you know, the podcast too. We were saying, you know, you don't want to come off as disingenuous, but you do have to know your worth.
Yeah.
And it's always that fine line you have to walk. And it sounds like with Jigsaw, it almost came naturally, where the product sold itself and you were like, oh, I'm not going to really have to like hustle that. I mean, you still have to hustle. You still have to do your due diligence, of course, send it out on time, pay whatever you need to pay, and shipping, this, that, and the third. But other than that, I mean, the marketing kind of with great products comes naturally from people who have bought in it or who've used it. And even from the people who've created it. I mean, if I see something, if I saw Steve Jobs reach into his pocket and pull out a Galaxy, you know, I'd be like, what the fuck's going on here? Hold on now. But, you know, if he's pulling out an iPhone that I've never seen before, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to stick with that until that model comes out. And if I hear that Bryan Miller is using the Jigsaw, and also, you know, that's his thing, that's his company, he started this, I'm going to be like much more inclined to be like, he's backing it himself by using it, you know? Yeah. And that comes off naturally. So yeah. That's awesome. I mean, I
used it yesterday.
There you go. Are there certain, like, can you basically just get, like, could you do anything from like getting a joint in your hand with it, or is it like you want to?
Yeah, you could get a joint in your hand for sure.
Yeah.
I would go more like probably the thumb muscle though is a good place to get in the hand. And like the center of the hand with the all-purpose tip, which is like the rubber one.
How many different tips are there on them?
3.
So
we have a pinpoint, which is pointed, and then deep tissue, which is like a round, hard plastic ball, and then the other one is a soft rubber round thing. Wow.
So would you say that just for, like, from changing the tip, just the tip, this is the just the tip section of the podcast. But
our comment section is lit.
Oh gosh, this is definitely gonna have to get marked explicit on iTunes just for that saying right there. But would you say that just from adjusting like something as, you know, like how the tip is, that you can really achieve these kind of different, you know,
for
uses?
Sure. I would say don't use the pinpoint very often.
Really? You
don't need it very often.
Huh. So it's when you kind of have a real area of either inflammation or aggravation, kind of do softly.
For there. Like the traps, you would want to do it. You could get it harder with the pinpoint, but traps are good. Upper back's good.
Are these
glutes,
these are the
hips.
traps?
Yeah, traps.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know a little bit.
Yeah, you got some traps there. I see that suit.
Oh,
That pinstripe suit popping out there.
You know. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So I like how you not only have the product, but you know exactly how to utilize the different aspects of it.
Yeah, I guess 'cause I'm kind of involved in everything with the creation all the way to running it right now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess gonna. This is kind of all I do, or part of all I do.
Hey, I mean, dude, that's awesome. I personally, I like to have my foot in a lot of doors, like we were saying earlier. I mean, whether it's doing the podcast, whether it's doing videography, whether it's, you know, showing up and introducing a new opening of a gym. Shout out to MVMT and TK, but it's good to have your foot in so many different doors, and especially when you don't have the 401k and the dental plan, you got to have the revenue coming in as many ways as possible.
Exactly. Get those streams in.
Get those streams up. But yeah, I mean, I think dealing within, you know, the athletic world it's so cool. Just because, like, we're learning new things right now, like you were saying, where you can, like, isolate. You were saying, you know, for the balance stuff within MMA, strength and conditioning training, doing the balance to isolate certain things. Or, you know, I've heard about, like, plyometrics for, you know, dunkers, you know, to get their specific spring muscles in their things, like activating, you know, like on a higher level. Like
yeah, there's so much new technology that's coming out, and like we're learning so much more about the body every year. Like, the stuff that was relevant last year is not even relevant this year.
Wow.
Like, things are progressing so fast. It's insane.
So you really do have to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Yeah, I'm sure in many different ways, but IG kind of has to help in that sense.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of good stuff on IG. Having a good circle and knowing what's good information, I think, is important. Make sure that your friends aren't telling you shit that's false.
Or yes manning on some shit that you should be,
you
know, like,
true.
Because this is when we all often do bring up with the guests. You gotta have people who encourage you, but then you can't have them be too much of the yes men and yes gals.
For sure.
Because then it's gonna be like yes no matter what. And
Yep.
to a certain extent, you know, the people who will give you that tough love are actually the people who sometimes care the most.
For sure. For sure.
And I'm sure within your circle, you could point to a few people who are like, oh, Bryan, you should have done this. And I'm sure you've done it with them too. And that's why, you know, you've grown together. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. How much, you know, and I'm sure also with that too, like when it was personal training and stuff and now doing MMA training, I'm sure client feedback is something that, you know, you take fairly seriously as well.
100%. Yeah. Client feedback is the most important thing. Like,
really?
I think you have to have a good relationship with your client first and foremost. And I think ending things on a good term is important too. Like, because a lot of times clients and coaches, they'll break up, but ending on a good term, like, it didn't work out, but that's fine. It's like, my program isn't for, you know, I mean, it might be for you at that time, but, you know, our relationship isn't working out. I need a new coach or something like that. So that's happened a lot of times. And I guess what I'm trying to say is people move on.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've from the strength and conditioning folks that I've talked to in the circle, I've heard that you just have to kind of, you know, it's whether it's, you know, training someone who gets traded to another team if they're on a sports team, or a fighter who wants to run their camp, you know, on the East Coast or maybe in Big Bear or something like that. You know, it could happen naturally, or sometimes it'll be like, hey, you know, we're better friends than business partners or something like that. So
yeah, exactly.
But then, you know, that's also great, because when you're honest with yourself about that, I feel like then when it works, it's so genuine, it's so true that you guys are both elevating each other's games at that point.
Yeah, that's magical when that happens.
Yeah, that's probably no words even, huh?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes no talking is the best.
Yeah. You know,
not on a podcast, though.
Moment of silence. But no, I mean, I'm sure that you can almost, it's like a feeling that's, you know, you can't really fully describe it. You just know that you have it when you do, and it's like, oh, we're on the same level.
Yeah, that shit's rare though, man.
Really,
I feel like
it has to. I mean, well, yeah. There's only so many. There's a lot of world-class athletes, but there's only so many at the top of the pile, and I'm sure that that's probably because they have great.
Oh, sorry, we're talking about coach-athlete relationship.
Yeah, or coach-client too. I mean, anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You. I've had a few coaches that they knew me, know, and like when they looked at me, like I was like, oh shit, I better do my job right now, or like I better do this workout hard or whatever. If it was CrossFit, Like,
so they were able to dial something in that really just made you kind of take it to the next level.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Huh. How hard is that as a coach?
I don't think I've done that for anybody as a coach, to be honest.
I bet no, you're probably being humble. If people come back.
I honestly don't know if that's true or not.
Really?
But I know I've had that experience from coaches.
Huh. Well, I mean, wow, how that's so odd to be on both sides. I mean, to experience that from both sides, because I bet
I'm still young as a coach, though. I feel like
so you're still kind of. I mean, I'm sure you've gotten close to the fully dialed in. I mean, but to kind of push it over to the next thing.
I feel like there's so much to learn for myself as a coach. Like I haven't coached enough people.
How is that building the clientele of when you're coaching? I mean, is it just because people always ask like, how do you identify guests for the podcast? It's, I mean, IG really helps. Just reading articles helps. Knowing people in San Diego helps. But how would you say like identifying clients, potential athletes that you want to work with or that you think would want to work with you? How does that whole game work out?
Honestly, they just usually message me.
Really?
Yeah. Or Miller Time Training, or I have an email. You can send me your email on millertimetraining.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't really reach out and promote my coaching that much. I just I feel like I'm in training right now, learning to be a coach.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And so
I'm training myself mostly.
Yeah.
And testing things.
Okay. Seeing what works.
Which I'll release programs later on my website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the goal.
Yeah, I was seeing one wild thing. I mean, it was a video you put up on your IG recently where you're literally doing a handstand, and then I don't know how in the hell anyone can do this. You went from a handstand, and without putting your feet down, you swung them all the way to where you're balancing like this, with your hands just supporting you still.
I think I was doing a press to handstand.
How did you
eccentric or negative?
Yeah, that was the craziest thing. It's like a pretty recent one you put on there, and you're literally you're in a handstand, and your feet never touch the ground.
Yeah.
That was wild. It's like is that kind of some of the stuff you're working on?
Yeah,
applying
basically.
that type, because I've never seen anything like that. I'm sure it is existed, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's more like circus type stuff. Circus,
really?
It seems like, yeah.
It reminded me almost of like super like high level yoga in a way.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you could say something like that.
But like, I mean, you still need a tremendous amount of strength, I'm sure.
But there's plenty of yogis that are way stronger than me. Like,
really?
Oh yeah.
So this is going to sound stupid. Yogis are generally probably very, very strong core, strong everything probably, right?
Yeah, it does a good job of strengthening the body and making it limber, it seems like.
So you know what it does sound like, actually? It sounds like that the fact that you've kind of, again, going back to 24 to personal training to MMA strength and conditioning training to applying, these other kind of interesting stuff. It sounds like, some yoga-esque type of stuff. It sounds like you're kind of going for something that no one's ever really applied all these different angles to strength and conditioning within MMA training before. Would you kind of say that's what you're going for?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, something like that. I learned a lot from Ido Portal. Just over the years, I've followed him through social media, and I went to a course that he did. I need to go to more courses, but there's only so many things you can do. But he's put out so much amazing information, so everyone should go follow him for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean,
and his whole movement culture, and yeah, that's probably my biggest inspiration for the type of training that I do.
really,
Yeah.
really. Why would you say just out of just to expand upon that for everyone listening?
Just the way he approaches life, it seems like.
Really?
Yeah.
So even just beyond just, I think that's also, it seems like you're, it's beyond like I said before, beyond the physical aspect, you really have to address stuff outside of the physical. I mean, you can do that though while pushing your physical limit. You can, use that to address stuff mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And, one of the things that,
it's all connected.
Oh, it has to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're all connected.
We're all the 6 degrees of separation.
You are me. I am you.
We are one of us. One of us. Yeah. Well, how long this is an interesting one. Have you been in San Diego always since the Navy?
So I grew up a little bit in Escondido.
Okay.
After being born in Sacramento, and then we moved to Portland, Oregon, and I still remember like on the plane, like, no, I don't want to leave California, the sunshine. I know it rains all the time. And we got there, and it was like the hottest summer ever. Actually, it was a nice summer, but it rained pretty much the rest of the time until I was 18. And then we moved back to San Diego.
Okay.
With my girlfriend. So I lived here for 5 years, from 2013 to 2018.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well,
in the roundabout way. But I love it here, though.
San
I mean,
Diego's
how can you
awesome.
beat this place?
You really can't.
It's pretty hard.
I think there's something about it, too, where it's... I say this a lot, and anyone who's listened to, more than one of these episodes, you're probably getting sick of me saying this, but there's something special about San Diego. We have a small town feel, but the resources of a big city. And it's
a good way to put it.
Culturally diverse. Like you can, there's really like very few things that you can't get here that you need to go to LA to get, other than just the sheer size and population. But even still, like San Diego, 3 million people in the county. So I mean, there's pockets of different people from different cultures, different backgrounds. You can get any type of food, any type of diverse experience out here. So. And you can feel like you're retired in your 20s, frankly. So, I mean, I'm grinding, but then I look out the window and I'm like, I mean, the weather's been funky as of late, but
yeah,
you can look out the window and just be like, yo, this is like people. Oh my gosh, people save up and visit here. Like how did I score this? It's weird.
You pinch yourself every day.
Yeah, there's something beautiful about San Diego. I think San Diego's a special place. I think it's really awesome.
There's something about it.
The people too. The
people
are just
everyone's
like,
very nice.
They know, and you know what? They're nice, and the ones who are like have that like kind of, you would say like just stereotypical like the New York East Coast grinds like are still nice, and they're still willing to help out. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, time and time again, I see people who, what I always say is they pull the ladder down for other people rather than picking it up when they get over the wall. That's probably like a Game of Thrones reference, because I'm sure there's people storming the castle pulling the ladder down. I've never seen it.
You never seen Game of Thrones?
I've never watched it.
Stop.
I've never seen like.
That's why you're that's why you have this podcast. This ODDCAST podcast balling out of control over here.
No, I have to. I mean, I've never. I've even told people like I've tried it and I don't like it, just so I don't, because I know if I like watch it and I like it, dude, I have like 8 seasons that I need to catch up on. I'm just gonna like be like put on like 5 pounds.
Yeah,
like, just pure.
Yeah. I watched a season in a day one time. It was the worst thing ever.
The worst and best.
Yeah, I got out of bed one time to pee. I didn't want to get water because I wanted to see more. It was a low point.
Oh, so from tubs of ice cream.
You have those sometimes, though.
Oh, dude, you have to binge that sometimes.
From tubs of ice cream.
You have to. Every once in a while, there's a nice, it's nice to disconnect from reality, frankly, and especially when you're doing kind of what we're doing, where it's. I mean, I know you said you don't reach out to too many people, but I think people are probably reaching out to you, and you just have to. I'm sure you're always kind of like either responding to something or doing something, whether it's you personally or
Pretty
with
much.
Jigsaw.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Pretty
basically
much.
like, I don't even want to say how much time I spend on, like, you know, between editing and IG a day, but
Yeah.
it's
I don't care. It's what I love to do.
yes. So this
Yeah.
is the one thing I would love to ask you about. That is, they, you know, what's the saying is, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
It's fucking true, frankly. And the thing about that is, people always kind of I think people look at like what we're doing maybe from the outside looking in. And no offense, I understand why they can have this perception, and they think, oh, well, you know, they're only working when they put out the episode, or they're only working when they're training someone, or they're only working when they're getting the patents for Jigsaw. It's like, no, that's when you're pursuing your passion and you're doing passion projects, it's going to be, rather than 8-hour days that you were required by law to leave at 9 to 5 in federally required jobs where you have to do that. We're working twice, 3 times that, probably 10, 12-hour days, 24-hour days sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, it's not work, because that work almost defines who you are in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it is. Dude, you hit the nail on the head, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's rewarding. It's rewarding. And like, I mean, you know, it makes it all worth it too, to like get to see the end product. And if for me, I mean, I'm sure it's the same for you. If you train someone and like you have someone reach back out and they're like, yo, Bryan, like you showed me something that I never would have thought I could have done, or you taught me a new workout that helped me, you know, get over the 3rd round hump or something like that. Or someone reaches out to me and is like, Mike, I saw your podcast and it inspired me. Boom.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever when they actually listen, or they actually do the workout, or, you know, like they actually do it. That's why Nike is the best. Just do it. Like, you just got to do it.
I see, you know, it's funny. You're totally right. And I always say, I mean, you know, that I always ask the guest, you know, what's your advice for our listeners of turning their passion into a paycheck? And just do it comes up time and time again.
Yeah.
As the definitive answer.
Work and sweat.
Yeah, work and sweat. And I think the one thing you said earlier was, you know, maybe it is a setback, but it's not necessarily a failure, right? Like if when you had the medical discharge from the Navy,
Mm-hmm.
you could have just said, oh, you know, I can't really do anything physical anymore. I had the seizure, blah, blah, blah. You kind of took it head on. And
Yeah, it changed my life for sure. Like, because drinking I don't drink a lot because drinking leads to more seizures.
mm-hmm.
Or that has been linked anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I don't really drink that much.
What's on the surge in general? I mean, it's on like I think it's on the bottle, like of beers and stuff. Like drinking may lead to.
Yeah.
I don't know if it says it anymore, but I've seen it on something. I mean,
so that's the main reason I don't drink alcohol very often.
Really?
Yeah. Which
So
I don't think I've ever told anybody before.
Interesting. No, I mean I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
It is funny because it's Miller time and
yeah, exactly.
the dichotomy there. No, but I think that's, you know, I've definitely.
I don't have a problem with alcohol, but it's just
No,
the reason for me personally.
I would say even still, you know.
And I still do, but.
Oh yeah, but just, you know, like going, like if you're in any type of like scenario, like any type of college, like even like late high school scenario, like, and then like law school scenario, you're going to be around it, and it's going to be like peer pressure, influential. And, you know, I think kids more and more in this country, frankly, and like in Western civilization, are probably drinking a higher level at an earlier age. And, you know, I'm not trying to sit here and make a PSA or anything, but if we're going to say that doesn't have some adverse effects, we'd be lying.
Yeah,
I mean,
I wouldn't say that's false.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, that being said, you know, I really do think it's impressive how, you know, you kind of, you know, didn't shy away from it. You kind of just attack the problem like head on. You're like, okay, so I'm not going to drink as much. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to do 24. I'm going to do personal training. Then now on to MMA. Now on to the Jigsaw.
It was just like I've just followed what I like to do.
Yes,
basically.
And I mean, it kind of seems like that almost like you kind of went with it naturally. But was there some fear behind that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I dropped out of school again.
Really?
I think I have like probably 3 semesters left before I finish my psychology degree.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just really too busy at the moment
Yeah.
with some things.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, you probably learn a lot more outside of the classroom, frankly. I hate to say that.
I feel like that's what I have been doing. That's just why I'm in the position I'm in, where I can take time off of school and be okay. But at the same time, I want to finish, but I just don't have the time right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah.
I've learned a lot from school, and I love school, but I think I've learned even more outside of school. Like, it's so hard to have a conversation. But I want my son to go to school. I want him to go to college.
I couldn't agree more. I would say the same. I mean, how I feel like, you know.
Shout out Maxwell.
Hell yeah. When I look at these things, though, I look at them as like a sign that I went through the process more so than I became intelligent as a result of the process. Like, I know how to play the game.
I hear you.
And I look at it, frankly, I mean, for me, I look at the validation that other people assign to me as a result of those, not my own validation, because people will say, oh, you went to law school. I mean, you know, shout out to my law school buddies. We were messing around at law school, you know, we had a good time, you know, but the validation of intelligence can be learned so much in the actual outside world. And I'm not dogging on anyone who goes and gets 1 million degrees, because you do have to get a law degree to be a lawyer. You have to go to, you have to go to medical school to be a doctor. And there's no bits or bones about that. But I asked in undergrad, my first year of undergrad, I was asking my political science professor, I said, this and that about a poll. Like, what does this mean? How do you assign this to the real world? He just put his hand on my shoulder. He said, Mike, what you fail to understand, what you're failing to recognize is that I don't understand anything about the real world. This is academia. We exist in a vacuum. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, there's no variables applied to our studies. And I was like, so now when I see like polls and stuff, like, I mean, I'm not even going to get political for 2 seconds, but I wasn't surprised when the polls didn't result in how people thought they were for when Trump originally got elected. I was like, they're probably not asking the right questions, and people probably didn't. There was people who were like embarrassed to admit they were voting for him. That people said that after, like, time and time again. So the thing that academia has taught me is that the real world doesn't exist in a vacuum. You can ask poll questions to get certain answers, and that's what medical studies are all about. They ask people in a certain way to get the results they want.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's one of the many ways that studies are manipulated.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you've seen that across. I mean, going through, like, especially now going through the process of Jigsaw, I'm sure you've seen other, like, companies do some, like, not to call anyone out, but I'm sure you've seen, like, oh, doctors, right? And you're like, you can do that in a lot of ways.
Yeah. There are many ways.
Yeah.
Around the systems.
Yeah.
Many alleys, many back doors.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Yeah. But you're going to see the result in the people that use your product. And
yes. Oh yeah.
That's the telltale
Any
sign.
percussion massage works. But if you want the most powerful, then you want Jigsaw Massage.
Really? That's awesome. I love that. See, that's how you know. See, he's not dogging on the competition. He's saying anyone works, but
yeah.
You want the premier.
I've referred people to, if they want a quieter one, to Hyper Ice. Like, we do the Miracle on 34th Street. You know, remember that movie?
Yeah.
Remember they told him to go to a different store because they had the product.
Yep.
Like, we have no problem with that.
That's awesome.
Like,
well, I'm sure, you know, like we have a saying here, synergy is winergy.
Yeah.
Right? And
like
I'm
that.
sure that, you know, they appreciate that, and I'm sure, you know, you've probably spoken with them over that, you know, kind of cool, like,
not yet, but
that's awesome.
Yeah.
See, there you do it for nothing more but
Yeah.
to help out someone who's trying to find some solution to deep tissue massage or any type of rhythm. You called it percussion.
Percussion massage, percussion therapy, massage therapy. Like, it's just myofascial release. It's just myo is muscle, and I don't know what fascial is because I forgot that part. I didn't finish my degree.
That's in the next 3 semesters.
But basically, it just feels good after you're done with it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know. I mean, it's like a release of like lactic acid too. I'm pretty sure, like
something like that.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, it's just it
I
totally.
don't know.
I mean,
the knots are gone.
Yeah. I mean, that's just huge. Like, especially like you said, for your knees, if you have problem areas, it's nice that you have the 3 different tips where you can adjust it in different ways. That's quite brilliant. I've seen those done on like kind of those like cheap like home massages, but the fact that you applied it to a power drill is so ingenious.
Jigsaw.
Jigsaw. Yeah. That's so cool. It's so cool. I mean, it just must have been like a aha moment.
Yeah, I was like, sure, let's try it. Let's do it.
That's cool. Well, so, we've run the gamut on a lot of good subjects. I definitely want to give you the opportunity at this point to, anything you want to share, any shout outs you want to give.
Yeah, shout out to Alliance Jiu-Jitsu. I've been training there. Amazing gym in San Diego. They have a location in Carlsbad as well. And then shout out to Livecraft Wellness. They have like saunas, hyperbaric chambers, cryotherapy. They have a doctor in-house and I think a LMT in-house as well.
What's an LMT, sorry?
A licensed massage therapist.
Oh, wow.
What else? They have they have float tanks there.
Okay.
Joe Rogan's really big on those. I've yet to do the float tank, but
I'm a little bit, I know this sounds odd. I'm a little bit scared just from I feel like it's going to be an odd sense. I know it's going to be an odd sensation. I'm a little scared of being closed off in a body of water.
Mm-hmm. For an hour straight. Yeah.
With like, I would go through it.
I should do that today, actually. I'm going there for a photo shoot later today.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, dude. Well,
but amazing. The sauna, you have to try the sauna.
Oh, that sounds.
I came out like a new person after I did the sauna.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you steam at all or just sauna now? Just dry
I think it's
heat?
better than cryotherapy.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And I think the studies have been showing that lately too.
I've seen now saunas are coming back in a big way, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
They've
been like huge overseas, but I think they're realizing the health benefits of them here, and so I think they're more popular here now than they used to be. It seems like.
Totally. I mean, I'm a member at the Bay Club over there.
Okay. They got saunas.
They have a sauna and a steam, and I used to just only steam, and now I basically sauna. Because like also you can,
good.
I mean, I'll just like read like the sports section too. You can't read in the steam room.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But no, it's awesome. So yeah, big shout out to them and yeah, other people. Sorry, I wanted to let you keep giving the shout outs.
CrossFit Invictus and Beaverton CrossFit. Shout out them. Good gyms.
Awesome.
And I think that's it.
And obviously Jigsaw, of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
they know. If they don't know, just watch the interview. But yeah, yeah, and then obviously, the one we always like to do for the summary is anyone who's listening, anyone who's watching, any advice out there for taking that leap off the metaphorical ledge of chasing your passion and turning it into a paycheck.
Just do it. Try. You'll never know if you don't try.
And you should be afraid, like you said.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but no, at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it should scare you, but you shouldn't be afraid.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, there'll always be some fear. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
yeah, of course. But I think, I would say more apprehensive than fearful because that means that it means something to you,
True.
But yeah, well, honestly, Bryan, really appreciate your time.
Mike, thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, you can find him. We'll list it all in the bio, but it's Bryan Miller time, Bryan Miller training, Jigsaw Massage. And, again, you can find us at www.theoddcast.live live. We're on Instagram, The Oddcast Podcast with underscores in between every word. And we're on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Anchor.
So you're on Spotify?
We're on everything. We're on Google Play. Yeah, we're running the gamut. And we thank you guys for tuning in. Oh, yeah. And, hey, if you get a chance, go over to C-Star Jerky at Shop C-Star and type in the Oddcast 25 to get 25% off some American Wagyu jerky. It's absolutely phenomenal. Appreciate your time. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Oddcast Podcast, where we talk to people who are turning their passion into paychecks. Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little odd. those sounds you like to hear. We got it going on. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST.